In this lesson, we're going to talk about set builder and interval notation. Specifically, we'll understand set notation, we'll understand interval notation, we'll graph sets and compound inequalities, which relates to sets on a number line, and we'll write those sets using interval notation. First off, some information about sets. The notation is denoted by these two braces. Some examples of sets in the first bullet point. The set could have a finite number of elements, such as 1, 2, 3. There's only 3 elements in that set. There could be an infinite number of elements. The set in the second bullet point is our integers, our positive and negative whole numbers. And we know that it goes on forever, denoted by the dot, dot, dots. Our set could also be an interval. And what this means is x such that x is less than 1, or values that are less than 1. Our fourth bullet point, we have x such that x is bigger than 2 and less than 5. So see how x is sandwiched in between these two numbers? We're talking about values in this set that are in between 2 and 5. Some notation. Now the way this table works is inequalities goes horizontally, graphs goes horizontally, interval notation, and then we have not included, and included. And what these are really talking about are our endpoints, if the endpoint is included or not included. So for instance, when we have an inequality, that's denoted by a less than or a greater than if the endpoint is not included. So for instance, on our previous slide, we have x less than 1. It's just less than 1. So not 1, but 0.9999999 and below. If it is included, there's a less than or equal to or a greater than or equal to symbol. If we're asked to graph the set or the inequality, if the endpoint is not included, we use an open circle on the graph. If the endpoint is included, we'll use a closed circle on the graph. When we're asked to write the set in interval notation, if our endpoint is not included, meaning there was a less than, greater than, or even an open circle, we'll use parentheses. If our endpoint is included, then we'll use brackets. Okay, so the things in the not included column go together depending on what form and how we're writing our answer, and the items in the included column go together. Make yourself a special note that negative infinity, so negative numbers that go on and on and on forever and ever, and positive infinity are also in here because you technically can't stop at infinity. It goes on and on and on. So it would be a not included because whatever number you can think of, the biggest number you can think of, there's always one more after that. Example 1. So we'll move into graphing compound inequalities and we'll write our answer using interval notation. So first, we have x less than 1 or x greater than or equal to 7. So we're going to graph x less than 1 first. Notice because it's a less than symbol, we're going to use an open circle. So when we look at x less than 1, our point 1, our endpoint, gets an open circle because it's a less than sign. And we're talking about values that are less than 1. So our line is going to go to the left. For x greater than or equal to 7, that or equal to means we're going to use a closed circle at our endpoint 7. Closed circle, and we're talking about values that are bigger. So notice here, 8 is bigger than 7, 9 is bigger than 7, and so on. For x less than 1, 0 is less than 1, negative 1 is less than 1, and so on and so forth. Now with this set, we're going to write our answer using interval notation. So we're going to have two intervals because we have two pieces on our compound inequality. So looking at this first piece, whenever you're writing an interval, it goes smallest to biggest or left to right. So our leftmost endpoint, notice it goes on and on and on forever and ever in the negative direction. That's going to be negative infinity. And negative infinity always gets a parenthesis. And then if we go as we're going along our line, going, oh, we stop at 1. This is going to also get a parenthesis because there's an open circle there. So notice, back to our slide, open circle, less than, parenthesis, all go together. For our next set, our leftmost endpoint is 7, and since there's a closed circle there, we're going to use a bracket. And it goes on and on and on forever in the positive direction, which means we're going to infinity, and infinity always gets a parenthesis. Okay, now the way to write these sets, since we have two of them here, we write them using what's called the union, or the U. So we have negative infinity to 1 and 7. That should be a bracket. I'm sorry. And 7 to infinity. So what's boxed is our final answer. Example 2, graph the set on the number line, then write your answer using interval notation. So in this case, we're talking about the set x. X is bigger than -2 and less than 7. Notice x is sandwiched in between those. So our leftmost endpoint is going to be -2, and it's going to be an open circle. Our rightmost endpoint is 7. It's also going to be an open circle. And then we join the two together. Now in this case, we only need one interval to describe this set. We go left to right, or smallest to biggest. Our leftmost endpoint is -2. Since it's an open circle, or greater than, we use a parenthesis, and we go to 7, also a parenthesis, because those endpoints are not included. So that corresponds with our parentheses and our open circles. Example 3, graph the set on the number line, then write your answer using interval notation. In this set, we're talking about x values less than or equal to 3. So notice this or equal to 3 means that 3 is included, so we're going to get a closed circle. We're talking about values less than 3, so our arrow is going to point to the left. Okay, and then to write this using interval notation, we move left to right. Our leftmost endpoint is -infinity, and our rightmost endpoint is 3. Now notice, even though this 3 is included, that's what gets the bracket. Infinity does not, or -infinity does not. Those always get parentheses. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any additional questions, feel free to contact me or utilize the free resources that are available to you.